Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Now, after working on my project micro long range for quite a while, I finally have some time to do more product reviews now that I finally have the frame done. And what I have here is something that I was really keen on testing because I never had one of these really tiny whoops. So this is a Happy Model Mobula 6, a very small tiny whoop, and it claims to be only 20 grams. But before we get into the technical details, let's see what this thing comes in with in the box. Comes with in the box. So it's $79, and for $79 you get the quad. You get a little screwdriver, a set of spare props, and you get four 1S batteries. So these are Happy Model branded 300 milliamp hour high. These are high voltage batteries, 3.8 volt. I mean, you never know with these if they are actually HV batteries or just regular lithium polymer, because you can charge any lithium polymer to 3.8 volts. It's just that it will not be have a very good longevity if you do that. So I won't be able to do a long-term test today, but let's see how these perform. And it comes with a tiny little charger, which is really quite tiny. This is the smallest I ever saw, just a little USB. So let's take a closer look at the quad. I think I'll get my macro lens out because this thing is incredibly small. But before we do that, let's just quickly check if it's actually as light as they claim. So it's supposed to be 20 grams. And if we put this on the scale now and make sure you can read this, as you can see, 19.75. So indeed, this quad is less than 20 grams heavy, and I mean, I don't have very large hands, but you can see how small this is. Really tiny quad. Okay, let's take a closer look at it. Let's get out the macro lens. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the motors first. These are very small Happy Model 0802. I have the 25,000 kV version. There's a 19,000 kV version too. I think the 19,000 kV version is rather for indoor flying, while 25,000 kV is more for outdoors flying. I would recommend to get the 19,000 kV version, not the 25, because I don't really see a point in flying this quad outdoors. A toothpick, a 65 millimeter toothpick or 3-inch toothpick, or even one of the new 1S toothpicks Kebab is working on, is just way more suitable for outdoors. This thing is just really perfect for indoors. 1.2-inch props, very tiny little props, and about these motors, I noticed that this one is slightly loose already, so they all feel pretty good. There's just one out of the box. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, it's that one. As you can see, the bell is kind of moving. There is some play in the bell that obviously they don't have the best quality control, because that's a lot. It's almost a millimeter. I can move this bell here, so the C-clip is kind of loose. That's not very good. But apart from that, the motors look quite decent. And the really interesting part about this is the board. So if you take a closer look at the board, this is a Crazy Bee F4 board. Connectors below, and this board, I mean, if you take a look at this quad, there's pretty much nothing inside. It looks so empty because the board is 4 ESCs, an F4 flight controller, a FreeSky receiver, and a VTX. So you pretty much have, this is a real all-in-one board. There's really everything except the camera is on this board. So we have the receiver antenna here. The VTX antenna is this, and I've never saw anything like this. It's just this weird piece of copper wire they put here. And I'm really curious to see how good this works. I have my doubts, but let's see. And then the camera here, this is the Runcam Nano 3, which is also exceptionally tiny. But I mean, less stuff means less stuff you can break. But also, if you break this board, yeah, you pretty much everything is broken on this quad, all the electronics. So, but I mean, that's probably what they have to do to reach this really good weight target. And one thing I noticed, some people complained about Jello, and apparently the newer versions ship with some, let me get this in focus here, some kind of foam here below the camera to help the Jello. I don't have this, I seem to have an earlier version, so it might help to put some sort of foam in here, because many people had sort of problems with Jello in the FPV feed. Now, let's get this thing up in the air. I think there's not too much to say apart from that about this quad. I mean, this is pretty standard whoop stuff, plastic frame and so on and so on. Looks pretty solid, all of it, with a nice little canopy here. So I don't have too many doubts about the product quality, except this one motor, where the bell is, it's got this play. But let's see if it affects the flight performance and whip this thing. Alright, so while flying indoors, the first thing I noticed is that the VTX and the Runcam Nano 3 actually do a pretty impressive job. As you can see, the video feed quality is pretty good for analog, and I don't have any video breakups and anything, although I'm flying behind walls, so really good. I never had any failsafe either, so as you can see, flying outside of the apartment here, my RSSI is slightly low, but I never had any failsafe, so that's pretty good. I just noticed that for flying indoors, I was kind of missing some throttle resolution, so there was a bit more power than I actually need. And I think this is mainly because of the 25,000 kV motor option instead of the 19,000 kV motor option. Same thing outside, it's pretty fast, as you can see, ripping around, but it's just draining batteries. I think the kV are just too high for this setup. I really recommend getting the 19,000 kV version. As you can see here, I'm already approaching 3 volts on the battery after a minute of ripping around, so not too good. I don't think this is made for flying fast, so I would rather trade some of the speed for more efficiency and lower kV motors. Alright guys, I hope you found this interesting and useful, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye bye.